Chapter 310, Death City. This chapter is updated by novels.pl. What a terrible sword. Seeing the soldiers of barbarian elephant army falling down one by one, Jin Yeon's face changed color. She performed a bodily movement immediately, charged to the distance, and tried to run away. Facing two horrible young swordsmen, she was already frightened. She believed that even 50 soldiers of barbarian elephant army couldn't take them down. She had only gone about 33 meters when La, dressed in gray, stopped in front of her, blocking her way. "Who are you? Why are you helping Jang Yuochen?" she asked. "I don't answer questions from the dead," he replied. Another arrogant boy. Jin Yeon believed her cultivation was deep enough. She decided, therefore, to kill one before she left. She transferred genuine chi to her palms. With a tittering noise, sharp clear ice spikes were formed. She shook her wrists and the ice spikes flew towards La all at once. Shadow sword technique. La slashed, and 7 shadows appeared, as if 7 sword techniques were performed at the same time. The ice spikes all smashed into fine powder. Die. Jin Yeon's voice rang in La's ear. When she'd thrown the ice spikes out, she had been very fast. Now she was less than a meter away from La. Her palm struck out with a clapping sound. A powerful palm power struck towards La's stomach. Before the palm hit La, its icing air formed a layer of thick frost. Jin Yeon was after all in the advanced stage of the Heaven Realm. La hadn't even reached the Heaven Realm yet. There was a huge gap between them. La didn't even have a chance to escape. Bang! Jin Yeon hit La in the stomach, and he was blown into the air. His outfit was torn up, shredding into rags around him like moths. Ha ha! Jin Yeon laughed and struck him again in the chest. La spat out a mouthful of blood. With a crackling sound, his rib collapsed. Bang! He fell to the ground on his knees. His chest bled so badly that his clothes completely incarnadined. "Let's get this over with." Jin Yeon's 5 fingers turned into knives and she slashed towards La's neck. The dying La suddenly burst out a sense of death and used his last strength to stab upwards with his sword. The whole movement was accomplished in one breath. It was not only like a deathbed struggle, it was also like a preconceived stabbing. There was no way Jin Yeon believed that La could strike back. PFFT. The sword tore open her celestial body. She yelled, pierced her heart, and went through her back. A 17-centimeter bloody sword tip came out of her body. Jin Yeon shook from head to toe. She looked at her chest. She still couldn't believe the fact that she was dying by a dying man's hand. It can't be. La withdrew his sword, and Jin Yeon's body fell down to the ground heavily. A master at the peak of the advanced stage of the Heaven Realm would never be reconciled to die like this. She looked straight into the sky even after death. Swoosh. After taking down the last soldier, Jang Yuochen rushed over immediately. He took out a healing pill quickly and handed it to La. He said, "Take this." Quick. Actually, La and Jin Yeon's battle had happened in a mere second. By the time Jang Yuochen reached them, Jin Yeon had already been killed by La. La glanced at the healing pill and shook his head. "No, I don't need this. The worse I get wounded, the faster my martial cultivation will improve. Don't you remember it is the non-Upal Samsara magic formula that I practice? Put me to death and I shall rise. Wound me to the extreme and I shall grow." Cough cough. He clenched his chest and spat out another mouthful of blood. But he still chose not to take the healing pill. Instead, he pushed the ground with his hands and managed to stand up. The non-Upal Samsara magic formula was just that amazing. Their warrior had to experience a hairbreadth escape in order to become stronger. Even if the warrior was wounded, he mustn't heal himself on purpose. Instead, he had to depend on his body and his genuine chi to recuperate. Only in this way could he improve his cultivation. It was a huge test of the warrior's willpower. A timid and weak person could not successfully practice the first level, never mind achieve great success. La had improved drastically in the last 2 years. Thus, he must have gone through countless injuries, tests and tortures that no one could even imagine. A man like him would become a top saint in the future if he survived everything. Jang Yuochen puts the healing pill away. Over the past 2 years, Your heart has become colder and your will stronger. I don't know whether that's a good thing or not. Lo glanced at Zhang Yuochen, looking at the blood on his hands. He smiled rigidly and said, "And so have you. I remember 2 years ago you refused to kill anyone." Looking at the piles of dead bodies on the ground, Zhang Yuochen frowned. "My status is different now. In the past, no one dared to kill me, so naturally, I didn't have to kill anyone. But now it's different. There are too many people wanting me dead. I will be killed if I don't kill them. I don't want to die. I still have a lot to do. So I must kill. Maybe I can say it's all beyond my control." Lo replied, "As the saying goes, a general builds his success on 10,000 bleaching bones. Since sword must be stained with thousands of people's blood. My dear benefactor, I have a feeling that your future path will be much harder than mine." With serious wounds, Lo quickly left and returned to the Hades department. Zhang Yuochen went in another direction to the Death City. An hour later, Jin Quan, Zhang Tangai and Goshizn arrived with 50 barbarian elephant soldiers. The strong scent of spiritual blood filled the air. The savage beasts were feasting on the dead bodies. 50 barbarian elephant soldiers dashed out and killed all the savage beasts. A barbarian elephant army was completely annihilated. Gripping his sword, Goshizn looked cold and angry. "Concubine Jin's body is here." A barbarian elephant soldier found Jin Yeon lying in a pool of blood. Jin Quan rushed forward and held Jin Yeon's body in his arm. He broke down and cried out loud. Jin Quan was Jin Yeon's father. "Zhang Yuochen is too heinous. He killed concubine Jin," said Zhang Tangai with a vicious look. "Predecessor Jin Quan, you must avenge for concubine Jin." "Zhang Yuochen!" Jin Quan roared. A strong blast of wind power burst out of his mouth like a hurricane, shaking every leaf in the forest from the branches. They floated in the air, rustling. All the trees became naked. All the birds and beasts were shaken to death as well. "Go after him!" Jin Quan roared. "I will catch Zhang Yuochen and cut him into pieces." The Tongming River was occupied by aquatic savage beasts. It was the forbidden area for human tribe. In order to clean the Tongming River, a human tribe had built a city only 100 kilometers away from the death reach of Tongming River. It was called the Death City. More than 10 commanderies had once had their armies stationed in the Death City, and the number of soldiers had even reached 1 million. Almost every month, human soldiers would go into the reach by battleship to wipe out savage beasts. Every year, there would be a large-scale campaign between the savage beasts and human beings. Both sides would suffer huge losses. In addition to the armies, there were warriors from every commandery coming here to hunt savage beasts and search for treasures in the river. There were more practicing treasures in the water than on land. Even just one treasure could improve a warrior's cultivation greatly. It was because of these benefits that every day numerous warriors, fully aware of the danger, came to the Death City and joined the adventure. Some of them died and became underwater corpses, while some of them found treasures and became masters. It was a place full of opportunities and dangers, legends and death existing side by side. Arriving at the Death City, Zhang Yuochen saw high walls, countless battleships and a continuous stream of warriors. It is said that Zhao Santu dug up a crimson coral in the Tongming River and sold 2 million silver coins. He made a good fortune. There was another fight on Koshi Street. It is said that more than 60 people died, and the blood was flowing like a stream. There was even an Earthrealm warrior among them. This morning, the Death City army sent 13 warships out into the Death Reach. It is said that they want to hunt the medium-level savage beast, Gillard-octopus. I don't know if they will succeed. More than 10 lovely ladies arrived at the Rosefinch Tower earlier. Tonight their virgin nights will be auctioned. I wonder who will be sold for the highest price. Walking along the busy street, Zhang Yuochen heard all kinds of stories, treasures found, important people who had come to the Death City, powerful savage beasts that had been seen. The Death City was indeed a place where good and evil mixed together. Suddenly, Zhang Yuochen felt something. He looked up towards an inn in the distance. He believed he saw a familiar figure. "It's her." Zhang Yuochen squinted his eyes and stared at the woman in purple who was standing on the 3rd floor of an ancient building near the street. The woman was very pretty. She had a beautiful face and a slim figure. It looked like she was not strong, but actually her martial cultivation was very deep. What's more, her 5 senses were very sharp. and she seemed to notice that someone was watching her. She turned and looked towards the stair. She saw Zhang Yuochen standing in the center of the street.